Virtue, maximum of law, avow that justice and virtue are synonymous. Therefore, justice must mirror the attributes of God. The Bible declares that virtue flows from the Lord alone, Luke 6:19, and defines virtue as whatsoever things are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, and of good report, Philippians 4:8. The Lord further expounds, saying the wisdom, that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy, James 3:17, and that he that follows after it establishes righteousness and honor, Proverbs 21:21. Thomas Jefferson understood this when he said, God who gave us life gave us liberty, and can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis, a conviction in the minds of the people that these liberties are of the gift of God? And that's why they've removed God from the school system, ladies and gentlemen. They don't want the people to know this fact, that they are not to be violated, but with his wrath indeed I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just that his justice cannot sleep forever. George Washington understood this when he said, the favorable smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right which heaven itself has ordained. Benjamin Franklin understood this when he said, only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters. John Adams understood this when he said, our Constitution was made only for a moral and righteous people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Patrick Henry understood this when he said, it cannot be emphasized too strongly or too often that this great nation was founded not by religionists, but by Christians, not on religions, but on the gospel of Jesus Christ. For this very reason, peoples of other faiths have been afforded asylum, prosperity, and freedom of worship here. James Madison understood this when he said, we have staked the whole future of American civilization not upon the power of government, far from it. We have staked the future of all of our political institutions upon the capacity of mankind for self-government, upon the capacity of each and all of us to govern ourselves, to control ourselves, to sustain ourselves according to the 10 Commandments of God. Noah Webster understood this when he said, no truth is more evident to my mind than that of the Christian religion must be the basis of any government intended to secure the rights and privileges of the free people. Father of American scholarship and education. No God equals no liberty, right? But to know God and to know the law written on your heart is to know liberty, all right? If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. John 8:36. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and what never will be. Thomas Jefferson. The favorable smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right which heaven itself has ordained. George Washington. God who gave us life gave us liberty, and can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis? A conviction in the mind of the people that these liberties are of the gift of God, that they are not to be violated, but with his wrath. Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just that his justice cannot sleep forever. Thomas Jefferson. The worship of God is a duty. Benjamin Franklin. The fate of unborn millions will now depend under God on the courage of this army our cruel and unrelenting enemy leaves us only the choice of brave resistance or the most abject submission. We have, therefore, to resolve to conquer or die. George Washington. I am sure that never was a people who had more reason to acknowledge a divine interposition in their affairs than those of the United States, and I should be pained to believe that they have forgotten that agency, which was so often manifested during our revolution, or that they failed to consider the omnipotence of that God who is alone able to protect them. George Washington. Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become corrupted and vicious, they have more need of masters. Benjamin Franklin. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. John Adams. Statesmen, my dear sir, may plan and speculate for liberty, but it is religion and morality alone which can establish the principles upon which freedom can securely stand. The only foundation of a free constitution is pure virtue, and if this cannot be inspired into our people in a greater measure than they have it now, they may change their rulers and the forms of government, but they will not obtain a lasting liberty. They will only exchange tyrants and tyrannies. John Adams. The safety and posterity of nations ultimately and essentially depend on the protection and blessings of Almighty God, and the national acknowledgement of this truth is not only an indispensable duty which the people owe to him, but a duty whose natural influence is favorable to the promotion of that morality and petite and petty without which social happiness cannot exist, nor the blessings of a free government be enjoyed. John Adams. Observe good faith and justice towards all nations. Cultivate peace and harmony with all. Religion and morality enjoy this conduct. And can it be that good policy does not equally enjoy it? Can it be that Providence has not connected the permanent facility of a nation with its virtue? George Washington. Nothing can contribute to true happiness that is inconsistent with duty, nor can a course of action conformable to it be finally without an ample reward, for God governs, and he is good. Benjamin Franklin. Happiness, whether in despotism or democracy, whether in slavery or liberty, can never be found without virtue. John Adams. It cannot be emphasized too strongly or too often that this great nation was founded not by religionists, but by God's children, not on religions, but on the gospel of Jesus Christ. For this very reason, peoples of other faiths have been afforded asylum, prosperity, and freedom to worship here. Patrick Henry. It is the duty of every man to render to the Creator such homage before any man can be considered as a member of civil society. He must be considered as a subject of the government of the universe. James Madison. We have staked the whole future of American civilization not upon the power of government, far from it. We have staked the future of all of our political institutions upon the capacity of mankind for self-government, upon the capacity of each and all of us to govern ourselves, to control ourselves, to sustain ourselves according to the Ten Commandments of God. James Madison. Religion, or the duty we owe to our Creator, and manner of discharging it can be directed only by reason and conviction, not by force or violence. James Madison. Let it simply be asked, where is the security for prosperity, for reputation, for life, if the sense of religious obligations desert the oaths which are the instruments of investigation in the courts of justice? George Washington. And let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. George Washington. Whatever may be conceded to the influence of refined education on minds of peculiar structure, reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principles. George Washington. 'Tis substantially true that virtue of morality is a necessary spring of popular government. George Washington. Though in reviewing the incident of my administration, I am unconscious of international error, I am nevertheless too sensible of my defects not to think it probable that I may have committed many errors. Whatever they may be, I fervently beseech the Almighty to avert or mitigate the evils to which they may tend. George Washington. Religion in law and government. Congress and President George Washington in 1789 passed the United States Annotated Code, Article 3, which states religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. In my view, the Christian religion is the most important and one of the first things in which all children under a free government ought to be instructed. No truth is more evident to my mind than that the Christian religion must be the basis of any government intended to secure the rights and privileges of the free people, the fathers of American scholarship and education, Noah Webster. The brief exposition of the Constitution of the United States will unfold to young persons the principles of Republican government, not a democracy, Republican form of government. Why does the United States constantly run over to other countries saying we've got to create a democracy for them? We've got to help them see the democracy. We've got to create more countries that will adopt our form of democracy. When in all truth, they should be running around supporting a republic, teaching the people how to govern themselves, right? And it is the sincere desire of the writer that our citizens should early understand that the genuine source of correct Republican principles is the Bible, particularly the New Testament or the Christian religion, Noah Webster. The religion which has introduced civil liberty is the religion of Christ and his apostles, which enjoins humility, pity, and benevolence, which acknowledges in every person a brother or a sister and a citizen with equal rights. This is genuine Christianity, and to this we owe our free constitutions of government. Noah Webster. The moral principles and precepts contained in such the scripture ought to form the basis of all of our civil constitutions and laws. All the misery and evils which men suffer from vice, crime, ambition, injustice, oppression, slavery, and war proceed from their despising or neglecting the precepts contained in the Bible. Noah Webster. When you become entitled to exercise the right of voting for public officers, let it be impressed on your mind that the preservation of a Republican God commands you to choose for rulers just men who will rule in the fear of God. Government depends on the faithful discharge of this duty. Noah Webster. If the citizens neglect their duty and place unprincipled men in office, the government will soon be corrupted. Laws will be made not for the public good so much as for the selfish or local purposes. Noah Webster. Every master of slaves is born a petty tyrant. They bring the judgment of heaven upon a country. As nations cannot be rewarded or punished in the next world, they must be in this. By an inevitable chain of cause and effect, Providence punishes nation sins. By national calamities, George Mason, father of our Bill of Rights, 1787. Common law is our heritage. Liberty is our inheritance. We the people have been lulled asleep. We have been robbed and persuaded to sell our birthright. Whosoever looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. James 1:25. My people are destroyed for their lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Proverbs 4:7. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you soon.